Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Tracy's Florida Homestead and our weekend spooky story spectacular. I'm your host, Tracy Anderson, and tonight's story, The Werewolf Bride, that will be read by my son, James King. We hope you enjoy the story. It comes from the book, The Spooky Campfire Tales. This is part of the spooky series that we will be reading from until Halloween. Well, with all due respect, let's get down to our spooky story of the night, The Werewolf Bride, narrated by James King.
So this story is in honor of our military, since it is Military Appreciation Day. Alright. The Werewolf Bride. She was a high-spirited beauty who was the toast of the regiment, and he was a poor foot soldier without 2 pennies to rub together. They should never have met at all if the soldier had not chanced upon her one day while making his rounds. Her dress had been caught by a briar bush, and she was endeavoring in vain to free herself. The soldier rushed to her aid. When he had freed her, the soldier gazed deep into her blue eyes as she smiled and thanked him. He lost his heart forever. To his amazement, the soldier soon learned that his affections were returned. At the next town social, she would dance with no one but him, and she invited him to dinner to meet her parents. For a few days, there was some jealousy and sour faces among the men in the regiment, but their attitudes changed when the men observed the powerful love that had sprung up between the soldier and the lady. Now the soldier's beautiful girl had caught the eye of an evil woodsman who had sold his soul in exchange for the ability to turn himself into a wolf at will. One evening, the woodsman crouched down in the woods and waited for the girl as she was walking home. He accosted her roughly, demanding that she elope with him. The maiden refused, springing his love and crying out for someone to save her. The girl's cries were heard by her fiancé, who had come searching for her later as she returned from her parents' home. The soldier drove the woodsman away with harsh words, threatening him with dire consequences if he ever approached the maiden again. The furious woodsman laid low for a few weeks, waiting for his chance. It came on the girl's wedding day. She was dancing happily at her wedding reception with a group of her friends when the woodsman, in the form of a wolf, leapt upon her and dragged her away. The enraged bridegroom gave chase, but the wolf and the bride disappeared deep into the thick forest and were not seen again. For many days, the distraught soldier and his friends, armed with silver bullets that could kill a werewolf, scoured the woods in search of the maiden and her captor. At one point, the soldier thought he saw the form of a wolf and shot at it. Upon reaching the location, he found a piece of the wolf's tail lying on the ground, but there was no sign of the wolf to which it belonged. Months of searching, and eventually the soldier's friends begged for him to let the girl go on and get on with his life. But the soldier was half mad with grief and refused to give up. And that very day, he found the cave where the werewolf lived, wherein lied the body of his beloved bride. The girl had refused the werewolf's advances to the very end and had died because of that. This is a picture of the wolf in his cave. Once his murderous fury had faded away, the werewolf had tenderly laid the body of the girl that he loved and killed into a wooden coffin. There it would be safe from predators. The werewolf came to visit her remains every day. Enraged, the soldier hid and waited for his enemy to return. As soon as the werewolf entered the cave, the man shot at it over and over again. Blinded by pain, the werewolf fled from the cave, but the angry soldier stayed right on his heels. With a howl of terror, the dying wolf leapt into a nearby lake and disappeared from view. The soldier sat by the lake, cradling his gun and waiting for the werewolf to suffer so he could finish him off. But the water was still, save for the light ripples blowed by the wind. As the soldier watched, bloody pieces of the dead werewolf began to float to the surface of the water. These parts were quickly consumed by the ever-present catfish. When his friends from the regiment finally tracked him down, the soldier's mind was gone. He babbled insanely about a werewolf that had been eaten by catfish, and he sobered just long enough to lead the men to the body of his beloved. Then the soldier collapsed forevermore into insanity. He died a few days later, and was buried beside his bride in a little glen where they had planned to build their house. Their graves are long forgotten, and the place where the couple rests is covered with daisies in the spring. But to this day, the people of the area have a prejudice against eating catfish, though no one remembers why.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our story, The Werewolf Bride. Come back and visit us next week for another thrilling story from the Spooky Tales. And like I said, this week's story comes from Spooky Campfire Tales. So if you would like to get any of these books, please visit Amazon.com and look up Spooky Tales. And we thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great day.